Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie, and a coffee. A cup of coffee. It doesn't sound the same as in a cup of tea, but I never drink tea in the morning. It's always coffee. So, hi. So, we're going to go through a bit more of this College of Policing report. First of all, I want to say what's on the screen at the bottom. Thanks all for watching, liking, subscribing, being members, buy me a coffee, PayPaling or sending super chats, etc. Thank you so much. And your support, it really does mean everything to me. Really, really does. I've had so many emails of support, messages. I just am humbled because, as I've said many times, any time that I feel like giving up, which is always around about the Nicola Bulley case with all the nastiness and just it's so toxic. Some people are just so horrible, and it's just the nice people. That's a tiny percent, isn't it? And you lovely people that send me all these messages either on my channel or send me emails, etc. It just makes me carry on because honestly, I mean, you can imagine it's been lots of times with this, and then people have said to me, no, we're enjoying you reading out the report because some people don't like to sit down and read a great big 147 page report, but it's interesting. It's got to be read. I don't know anybody else. You need to talk about the report. This is important too. It's been sort of overshadowed by other things, but the report is important. There's a lot of important information in here that we did not know before. And there's a lot of things to chew over. There's a lot of things to get angry over. There's a lot of times when the police are acknowledging their, their failings. There's a lot of times that we find reasons for things that we didn't understand at the time, like Rebecca Smith being so prickly at the press conference, and then it turns out she never wanted to do it, and it should have been Pauline Staples, and all the infighting, all of the hostility between the press and the police. And I think in this next chapter, the external influences on the investigation, we're going to find out even more. And I'm not sure if it's in this part, but it'll be coming up soon. If you're a Peter Faulding super fan, there's a lot, you probably won't want to read that, but that is what the police are saying. So this is not my views. I've got all respect for Peter as a nice man, but I've got my views on what has happened or what he's come out with, and I've got my views, and I'm entitled to my views as is anybody. So I don't just follow people blindly. I have a view, I have an opinion, and that's my opinion, and I'm not going to change it just because people don't agree with it. Like I wouldn't expect you to change your opinion because I didn't agree with it. Okay, so, and again, as somebody said to me, that the ticker is annoying when they're watching the actual video. So as promised, or as they said, I'm going to take it off now, just put it on at the beginning, because it's important for me to say thank you to people. It really is important because how could I even have a channel without my subscribers and members, etc., and even people who say horrible things, though not horrible things, they can't stay on there, but people who challenge me. Of course I don't mind being challenged, nicely. I don't mind being challenged. Don't like being called an idiot or I know nothing because I've got a different view to them. It's interesting because a lot of people who believe in free speech supposedly keep banging on about free speech. It seems like you're only allowed to speak freely if you agree with them. I don't agree with some people, so I'm just saying what I think. And if I don't agree, under the rules of free, and then they'll say free speech, and then wonder why I do knock a comment off sometimes, because it's like insulting me, or not only maybe me, but maybe one of my other subscribers or chatters. And I'm not having that. We argue in a nice way, a polite way. We can be coldly agree to differ. It is, I think there's very strong feelings about this whole thing. Feelings are strong, and I think that's good. And I think what that does mean, hopefully, is that we all have the same end. We want justice for Nicola. We all believe there was something more to it. Our opinions in what was more to it are different, but we all believe there was. So, let's focus on Nicola. It is about Nicola. I'm not interested, to be honest. I'm not interested really whether Peter's right or the LP police are right, or I'm interested in how Nicola got there in the first place. Don't see why people can't see that. But anyway, let's continue. So, yeah, so I've taken that off, and we're going to read the next chapter in this College of Policing report, which I'm having nightmares about at the moment, but I won't give up on it. I said I would read it out and look at the most important things, and that's what I'm doing now. As I always say, this is I'm on page 99, so only 43 to go. This is available online, so you can go and read the very fine print. I'm reading out what I think you'll find interesting. I'm missing out a lot of the police procedures and stuff, which I don't think are relevant to us. But I may have missed something that you do think is relevant, and if so, please put it in the comments. If you've read it, so you skipped over this bit, and I think that's important. Good, let me know in comments, because I'm just really picking out what I think is important. So I have read this last bit, but as I think I've said before, this report is very, very complete. That's a good thing about it. And I honestly think you could read it over and over again, and each time you would find something else, some little thing that you'd missed, because you have to concentrate. There's so much to it, which just shows how complicated that investigation was for Lancashire Police. And they are admitting failings, which I think is good. So I don't think they're trying to whitewash everything. I don't know what'll ever change from it, or it would be that lessons to be learned and all that. And some of the failings that they admit to me just seem like obvious. Why did those failings even take place? Because it's like just obvious it shouldn't have happened. But I think, and I always think they didn't realise from the beginning how important this case was going to be. So now, and then it all spiralled out of control, and now they're trying to work back, and it's sort of too late in a way, but at least they're looking back and acknowledging the things that they did wrong. Okay, so are we ready for this? Chapter 5. External influences on the investigation. Media and social media activity. Paul Ansell. Mr. Ansell was included in reporting across the press and media after his partner Nicola Bulley was reported as MFH on the 27th of January 2023. Missing from home, by the way, MFH. As a key family member, Mr. Ansell was a prominent voice surrounding her disappearance. Media attention on Mr. Ansell began to increase from the 3rd of February, once he started to provide media interviews. It is entirely understandable that he wished to undertake media activity to help find Nicola. Now, it's quite strange, because he did not do that many interviews. He did the interview by the side of the river, which of course was the one where he sort of smiled and everybody. That's where a lot of people started thinking, what? He seemed to have strange behaviour. Then he did Dan Walker interview, the longer interview, is about an hour long, wasn't it? An hour and a half, maybe even. He then phoned Sky News, sent us a voice note to Sky News, and that's it. That's all that Paul did, as far as I know. If anyone can think of any other time where he actually spoke to the media, but I don't think he did. The rest of the baton was taken up by Emma White, who did, was it 17 or 18 interviews? Because, and we know now why she did. Her position was taken by what should have been. She was sort of like the combined family liaison officer and press officer, wasn't she? And it says that earlier on in this report, how, you know, I think the Lancashire police were in such a tiz and a mess over it. So it ended up being Emma sort of taking over everything. She wasn't controlled, you know, should have been controlled by the police, you know, for her sake as well. Okay, so at the same time, speculation about Mr. Ansell and his possible involvement in the disappearance began to appear on social media. He provided a version of events to the media that seemed to fuel further speculation. For example, he said that he was 100% sure she was not in the river. Paul, this is. There was some public commentary that he did not appear upset enough in his broadcasts and that he demonstrated bizarre behaviour in his interviews. Conclusion. Mr. Ansell, the wider family and friends of Nicola, including the family friend who acted as a community spokesperson, were dealing with an exceptionally difficult and disorientating set of circumstances. The independent media and press activity undertaken by Mr. Ansell and this family friend, while clearly conducted to support the efforts to find Nicola, inadvertently added complexity to the investigation. This could have been mitigated by conclusions previously made by the review, namely a quicker decision by Lancashire Constabulary with implementing an earlier and comprehensive flow structure and better family engagement from individuals with experience in media and communications. And that's it. That's exactly it. Again, it was a police failing. They should have, you know, and we said that, didn't we, many times? Why did the family and the police never appear together at any time? That Dan Walker interview in the studio was Peter Faulding. I'm trying to think who else was in the studio. There was a woman, an ex-police officer, gosh, I can't remember her name. I think there were 3 people in the studio. Was it Peter Blexley? I honestly cannot remember. But that one of them was Peter Faulding, or he was being spoken to as well. But Dan Walker said that they had asked the police to take part, or if they wanted to take part, and the police had said no. And that came over as a bit strange at the time, to me, to a lot of us. We talked about it. Why? You know, we never saw the police jointly speaking with the family. So we saw the police read out their statement after Nicola was found. Pauline Stables read out the statement, but there was never any joint press conferences with, there was either the police or there was Paul or Emma doing their interviews, but there was no joint presentation, and that came over as strange, didn't it? Well, it did, definitely did to me. Okay, so I'm giving you a warning here now for all of you that, you know, think that Peter Faulding is God and couldn't possibly say or do anything wrong. These are not my views on Peter Faulding. This is what the police are saying about him. So, you know, please don't shoot the messenger. Peter Faulding. Sorry, better have a drink of coffee for this. Yeah, definite warning. If you don't like hearing anything wrong about Peter Faulding, it is quite damning of him and makes me understand why he released his thing on the same day, because he is desperately trying to salvage his reputation. Mr. Faulding is the founder and chief executive of SGI, with their website describing their services as a world leader in the fields of specialist rescue, underwater search, forensic search, and protester removal. Didn't know he did protester removal. The actions of Mr. Faulding during the investigation were raised with the review by Lancashire Constabulary on several occasions. At the time of Nicola's disappearance, Mr. Faulding was listed on the Experts Advisors database maintained by the National Crime Agency, and had previously conducted search and dive activities with several other police forces in the UK. His company was recommended to join the database in 2008. Experts can be requested for listing on the database by law enforcement staff nationally to support investigations and provide specialist knowledge to forces if required. In this case, Lancashire Constabulary did not make a request to use the sources of SGI, nor was SGI recommended by the NCA as a support to the investigation. On the 3rd of February, prior to any attendance at the location of Nicola's disappearance or contact with Lancashire Constabulary, Mr. Faulding was interviewed by Sky News. He provided comment on aspects of the scene of Nicola's disappearance. Specifically, it appears, and I'm not on the scene, that there aren't any marks where Nicola fell down into the river, so it's a bit odd. Sky News, 3rd of February. So what they're saying is before he even went to the scene, he was commenting on the case. Now you can see that that would be irritating for the police, can't you? On the 5th of February, Mr. Faulding appeared again in the media, where he referenced the ability of his team and equipment and the greater search and dive expertise. It is, people keep telling me it's not about egos. It is about egos. They're annoyed with him. He's annoyed with them. But he didn't say it at the time. All his interviews at the time were how fantastic the police were, etc. But you can see that, and even Emma mentioned it on a couple of her interviews, you can see there was this friction going on. This is what I mean about Nicola. I don't understand this. Just get on with it. You've got one job to find Nicola. Do it all together. Don't be arguing between yourselves about who's got a better kit. She mentioned it, Emma, on one of those interviews. I don't know if Peter's got a better kit or whether the Lancashire Police have got. There's obviously been some sort of friction. Whoever side you take, I personally don't take any side. I only take Nicola's side. But you can see clearly, anyone can see clearly there's been a lot of friction there. On the 5th of February, he appeared again in the media where he referenced the ability of his team and equipment and the greater search and dive expertise it provided in comparison with that used by the police. He stated that the police's equipment was low-tech, adding that it's very unlikely they would be able to find a body with it. So this now is the 5th of February before he went there. Let me just remember that page number because I want to see if I can find that article. I don't normally go into the articles, but that is important. I don't remember him calling the investigation a mess, but let's see. Let's see. So this is the Sun. And this is what they say. Again, it's not me saying it. This is them saying it. So let's see. I need to change that, don't I? Oh, it has changed. Okay. Oh, hang on. Yeah, you can see it. Good. So a forensic expert has dropped a bombshell. Well, it wasn't the last one, was it? on the Nicola Bulley investigation, labelling it a mess, as crucial evidence may have been missed. Today is the 9th painstaking day police have been scouring the area the mum of 2 was last seen. Oh, bless. Yeah, this is who it's about, Nicola. Bless her. So, Nicola vanished without a trace. 9 days ago is the police. They've been scouring the area she was last seen ever since. Now, something cordoned off here. I don't remember them cordoning anything off, but obviously maybe finally they cordoned it off. Anyway, the cops said in recent days their main working hypothesis was that Nicola has sadly fallen into the icy River Wyre. However, they revealed yesterday there was no evidence of a slip or a fall. So there you go. They've said there's no evidence of a slip or a fall. The dog walker, 45, vanished after dropping her children off at school on Friday, 27th of January. Since then, there's been no trace of the mum of 2, leaving her family in agony. Her partner, Paul Ansell, last night begged for help, saying he still held out hope of finding her. And he added, when did he do that? Or was that actually on that interview on the bank of the river? Then he added, there is no evidence yet to suggest any scenario over another, and all options must be kept wide open. Now, here. So he'd probably already annoyed the police before he went. Now, I don't remember this article. But so this is before he went there, though. This is not after he went there. After he went there, he was extolling the virtues of the police left, right and centre. So underwater forensics expert Peter Faulding has revealed he thinks police may have missed critical evidence. He also slammed the cops for not closing off the area where Nicola vanished, saying they were too quick to assume there were no suspicious circumstances, which of course is true. I mean, all this is true, but the thing is, if he was in, I don't know if he'd been, I think if he'd been asked yet to help or whatever, but you know, Peter, he has worked with the police for a long time, so he should know you're not supposed to say anything, really, you know, until some arrest is made or until things are clear. But anyway, it should have been sealed off immediately. He told Mail Online it should have been sealed off immediately as a potential crime scene. That area is critical. Critical forensics could have been found in that location. And I totally agree with him. Peter said loads of people would now have trampled through the area, covering up any remaining tracks. He continued, I don't know how the police can say there's no evidence of third-party involvement in this disappearance when they haven't actually checked. I think this is a mess, really. The expert also, I don't remember this. Maybe you do. I don't know. Maybe some of you out there read this article. I didn't. The expert also called the police's equipment low tech, adding it's very unlikely they would be able to find a body with it. Now, one thing I would say there, if he thought that, then really, why did he leave the police to anyway, I'm not getting into that. But because of course then they did borrow some other equipment, didn't they? From what I can remember from a neighbouring force. Anyway, he called their equipment low-tech, saying it's very unlikely they'd be able to find a body with it. And then the cops were also slammed yesterday by Nicola's sister Louise Cunningham and friend Emma White for their hypothesis. They explained there was no evidence beyond the theory that the mum plunged in while trying to retrieve the tennis ball. Emma pointed out that Nicola didn't even take Willow's ball on walks anymore, as the pooch would become fixated on the toy, making it hard to walk. And it comes after the police said they had tracked down a key witness last night. Cops had released an image of a woman in yellow pushing a pram, asking for the public's help to find her. She was quickly tracked down last night, with Lancashire police saying Our inquiries to find Nicola are extensive and will include speaking to as many members of the public at that time. Okay, so I think that's as far as it goes over what Peter allegedly said. Well, say allegedly, it's there. It depends, do you believe it or not? That's what it says in that report. So let's go back to the police. Oh God, what have we done with it? And we were on page 98. So it feels like they were already irritated with Peter because of his comments before he even got there. And this is what I mean about it's all, people like trying to prove that they're the most reputable instead of, just one job. Find Nicola, don't leave her in the river for 2 weeks after you think you've found her. Bring her, at least her body back for her family who need, just the thought. I honestly cannot imagine if that would have been my son or any of my family that I was now finding out that they were just left there to rot in the river for another 2 weeks. Cannot imagine how that must feel. Because that meant that they couldn't see her, because of another 2 weeks then in the water. Whereas if she would have been pulled out perhaps a bit earlier, maybe they would have been able to go pay their respects actually to her. Anyway, so right, I need to put this back up there. Why they're not showing? Come on. There you go. So let me just repeat that. So on the 3rd of February, prior to any attendance at the location of Nicola's disappearance or any contact with Lancashire Constabulary, Mr. Faulding was interviewed by Sky News. He provided comment on aspects of, I was supposed to be further down. So we talk about this. So he appeared on Sky News making comments. He then so that was the 3rd of February when he appeared on Sky News commenting. On the 5th of February, he branded the investigation a mess in the Sun newspaper. So that, he wouldn't have been welcomed with open arms, would it? I'm just saying, that's not a way to make friends and influence people, is it? So Nicola's family became aware of this, and because of that, efforts were made through Nicola's family friend to contact SGI and secure their services. So this is when the family have seen this interview, read this report, and they're obviously thinking, oh, well, if the police's equipment isn't good enough, let's see if we can get Peter here to do this. So efforts were made through Nicola's family friend to contact SGI and secure their services. Nicola's family then contacted the investigation team and asked them to involve Mr. Faulding and SGI in the search for Nicola, stressing the importance of following this lead-in opportunity. So on the 5th of February, Mr. Faulding claimed, "My belief is that she's not in the river at all. Nicola Bulley, latest, top forensic scientist, rubbishes foolish police theory. She is not in that river." So this before he's even gone there. He's saying that. And that was a GB News article, the 5th of February. So I'm not going into that article, but yeah, if you want to go on to this this link with where the College of Policing report, I'll put it in the description box, and you go to page 101 you should be able to then press that link and go into the actual article. So are we starting to understand maybe a little bit more why Lancashire Police perhaps weren't so happy with Peter? Anyway, as the deployment of a commercial dive team was outside normal practice, the SIO consulted with the National Search Lead and confirmed that the police search and dive team's capability, capacity and equipment were suitable for the search. The National Search Lead advised that Mr. Faulding and SGI did not have any greater equipment than could be secured through police channels. The Lancashire POESA lead was instructed to contact Mr. Faulding to identify what could be offered by his company, once apprised of what had been conducted to date. There followed communication by Nicola's family friend to the Flows, expressing a strong message that a refusal to let Mr. Faulding and SGI that day, and a refusal to use Mr. Faulding and SGI that day, 5th of February, would result in a negative press release to the media. So that's almost a threat really to the police, is if you don't let this person come and do this search, we're going to release a negative press release to the media. Again, I'm not blaming them, Emma and Peter, exclusively for this. The police should have taken control of the whole thing. You know, but you can see that, it's like, where were people just thinking, look, it doesn't matter if it's Peter, it doesn't matter who it is, as long as they find Nicola. Lancashire Constabulary felt that this would undermine public trust and confidence, and therefore subsequently agreed to allow the use of SGI to support them in their search efforts to locate Nicola, and they contacted Mr. Faulding that day. Mr. Faulding offered his services free of charge to the family. To ensure appropriate management of SGI and their associated dive and search activity by Lancashire Constabulary, an email was sent by the POESA lead to Mr. Faulding on the 5th of February. It stated, "We agreed in the importance of utilising your assets in conjunction with the ongoing search operation, and as such, direction will come through the police search advisor. We also discussed and agreed that all operational information will be treated as confidential, and that any operational information passed to the media will be done through the police channels. The requirement for this is to manage media releases to mitigate, where possible, undue distress to the family." The closing line of the email read, "I cannot stress the need for discretion enough due to the massive news coverage this inquiry has and continues to attract." Mr. Faulding was referenced. So they were trying to contain Peter. Maybe they sort of expected it because he'd already worked with the police, etc. Maybe they just expected he would be discreet. Do you know, it's funny because when I watched like all those things that Peter said, I just assumed that was in conjunction, like with the family or the police. You know, it never even occurred to me that it might have just gone maverick and saying what, you know, going and giving interviews left, right, and centre when he wasn't supposed to. Never even occurred to me at the time. Anyway, he was referenced during the Gold Group meeting minutes on the 6th of February, where his activities required operational discussion and direction. On the 6th of February, an action was raised to ensure a confidentiality agreement, code of conduct, and indemnity documentation were to be secured from him. During this Gold Group meeting, there was an update that the SGI team had agreed that if they identify a find during their searches, they would not engage in a forensic recovery, given that the responsibility for this lies with police trained specialists. Now, you can understand that as well, because of course there's what's the word, forensics to be done on a body, etc. And so I can see that. But anyway, he agreed it. He agreed that any communications would only take place with Lancashire Constabulary to manage associated messaging to the family. A chief inspector was given the action to undertake a meeting with Mr. Faulding to secure the necessary signing of the relevant documentation, and an action was raised at the next Gold Group meeting the following day for this to be securely retained. It is recorded in the daily search strategy that SGI were deployed to assist the PO-ESA team on the 6th of February under the supervision and direction of the PO-ESA lead. On this date, Mr. Faulding received an in-person briefing on the rules of his engagement with the investigation and search, as well as the associated necessity for confidentiality. To support this, a confidentiality agreement or non-disclosure agreement NDA was drawn up with the assistance of the head of legal services for the LC. This incorporated the following agreement. I, Peter Faulding, and SGI employees have been told, and I agree, that under no circumstances will I discuss any aspect of this case with any person other than the investigation team. The document was provided to Mr. Faulding by a chief inspector on the evening of the 6th of February, following his arrival at the scene. The chief inspector recalls that an explanation was provided to Mr. Faulding that it was an NDA and highlighted he should not share any information with anyone. This was signed at 1801. SGI provided a written response to the review team of their understanding of the NDA provided to him and stated. So this is, right, so now SGI is saying this. Peter did not sign an NDA. What do they mean, SGI? That's him. Why is it just not Peter? Peter did not sign an NDA either before or on the day. He was asked to sign a piece of paper which he was not provided a copy of. So this is what Peter's saying. He did not sign an NDA. He is saying that, okay? So he's saying he didn't sign an NDA. As we recall, it sets out SGI's responsibilities insofar as risk assessment, H&S issues, etc. This missive was not set out as an NDA. Now, if the police are saying that he did sign something, they can provide that, surely. He's saying he didn't get a copy of it. He said he signed something, but he didn't get a copy of it, but it wasn't an NDA. The police are saying it's an NDA. So let's see the evidence. It's like he said, she said, he said, she said. Nobody, including Peter, has provided evidence. I'd like to see Peter's receipts for the information he supposedly sent recorded delivery to the coroner. He says he will never divulge the Sonar images. Well, if he never divulges them, then, how are we supposed to know that they definitely exist? Or is he going to take them somewhere? Has he got a plan? Is he going to the Home Office? I still don't really understand why he released the interview he did on that day, why he did it with that particular channel, which, no offense, but not that long ago, he was interviewed on a massive channel. Why did he not release it there? It makes me wonder if he offered it there, but they just wouldn't touch it. Or why did he not do that interview with the mainstream media? He did a very brief interview, didn't he, with Sky News with Martin Brunt. So it's like they did it because they cannot. He has to provide evidence to the mainstream media. So, but if he was to do it on a social media channel, why not on that massive social media channel that he'd given an interview with a couple of months ago about his book. So there's a few strange things, I think, but there you go. I'm honestly, there's nothing I would like better than to see evidence of this, but I don't think it will ever shake off this horrible feeling that I've got about Nicola just being left there, if it was true that she was there. Okay, this confidentiality agreement contained no references to risk or health and safety as recalled by Mr. Faulding. See how they're arguing like complete opposites? But let's see it then. But instead contained a short paragraph providing an indemnity for Lancashire Constabulary against any costs or claims associating from their involvement in the search. There were also 8 points outlining the different information and confidentiality specifications required by Lancashire Constabulary. It would appear that Mr. Faulding was not provided with a copy, which seems to be an omission given to the nature of the incident. Okay, so they're admitting he was not provided with a copy. So where's their copy? I want to see their copy. Mr. Faulding continued to engage with the media between 6th of February and the 8th of February, providing his views and opinions on Nicola's disappearance. On the 6th of February in the Times newspaper, Mr. Faulding repeated a similar theory to one provided on the 5th of February, claiming that he would be able to find Nicola within 3 days if she was in the river. Of course, now he says he found her within 6 minutes. In the Gold Group, and there's another article there that I'm not going to click into now, but you can go on and click into. If missing mother's in the river, we'll find her soon, says expert. In the Gold Group meeting on the 7th of February, an action was raised for the Chief Inspector, Silver, to meet with Mr. Faulding to offer a suitable, robust advice about the information he is passing to the media, unhelpful to the investigation, the family and wider community. This action was undertaken and discharged. On the 8th of February, an action was raised for a holding press statement to be devised to counter any misleading or false statements made by Mr. Faulding within the media, and this was to be reviewed by the Gold Commander. On the 9th of February, there was discussion about Mr. Faulding, where a further action was raised regarding his activities in relation to his engagement with the family. He had also requested a photo opportunity to take place at the scene with a member of the chief officer team, the family and himself, which was declined through the Gold Group meeting. It was clear from the recording of these meetings that some of the behaviour and activities demonstrated by Mr. Faulding caused challenges to the investigation. So those meetings are recorded. Oh my God, I'd love to see one of them recordings, wouldn't you? The review team asked SGI to explain why Mr. Faulding sought to engage the media. Wonder why he sought to engage the media. What do you think? And discuss the investigation, given the direction in the NDA that the investigation and case is not to be discussed with any party not involved in that investigation. SGI responded that there was no official NDA discussed or signed for. The police failed to engage with SGI about any press statements. Peter and team were ambushed by the press, had no support from the police or any feedback after making media statements, and therefore he assumed his press engagements were within the terms of engagement. Fair enough. There certainly was no police, control of the media. In addition to his continued media presence, Lancashire Constabulary presented examples of when Mr. Faulding operated outside of the terms of engagement with the search direction. This included an incident on the 8th of February, goodness me, when he was observed digging with a spade in woodland near the river. This search activity had not been sanctioned by the POISA lead. I wonder why he was digging there when he'd already seen her in the river. That seems a bit strange, doesn't it? And Mr. Faulding had not undertaken any forensic precautions to ensure the safe recovery of forensic evidence. This activity fell outside the agreed terms of engagement, where any forensic recovery should not be undertaken. When challenged at the time by the police, Mr. Faulding stated that he believed this to be an area of recently disturbed earth, indicating a possible deposition site. Well, it may well have been, but I don't think really it was for him to do that with that, I think maybe he was trying to find her himself because that would have made him look good. I don't know. People are saying the police, because the other problem I have with the people saying, oh well, the police just didn't want him to find her, or the police were desperate to find her because they were desperate to prove that their hypothesis was correct, that she'd gone into the river, and if they would have found her that day, that would have been brilliant for them, because that would have proven that they were right all along. And anyone who thinks that they deliberately left her there, some sort of police cover up, I don't agree with that. So, if you think that it's possible, anything's possible, but in my opinion, no. So I think if they would have thought, I think they would have looked for her when he said there was something there. I'm sure they would have looked. Apparently they checked 3 times. I can't believe they would have left her there deliberately. I just cannot believe it. They may have missed her. They may have dived down and missed her, but I don't believe they left her there deliberately. So, yeah, when he was challenged, he stated he believed this to be an area of recently disturbed earth, indicating a possible deposition site. This location had previously been searched and eliminated as part of the initial police search response on the 27th of January. Following this assertion, it was reassessed by the POISA lead, who comprehensively documented why they considered the area had not been recently disturbed. Mr. Faulding had also informed the family that he thought he had identified a body deposition site, the location or believed location site of a deceased body. As part of this review, Lancashire Constabulary suggested that this had caused unwarranted distress and false alarm. Lancashire Constabulary also stated that the activity of Mr. Faulding resulted in the diversion of police resources to the family to remedy the situation. Now, I think let's think about that then. So some expert, who's supposedly an expert, who you've brought in because you think they're an expert and you think it will help, turns round to you before it being confirmed and says he thought he'd identified a body deposition site. How distressing. It's the view of Lancashire Constabulary that Mr. Faulding had a significant impact on the investigation and public confidence through his activities and his engagement with the media. The review team considers that some of his actions created a more challenging environment for the investigation team. His public statements often contradicted the investigative and operational approach, leading to confusion for the public and reducing the family's trust in the investigation and search operation. Well, the public were certainly confused. We're still confused. Within the media, there were 12,355 articles or broadcasts referring to Mr. Faulding from the 3rd of February, reflecting the interest that his public comments created. Some social media commentators referred to his comments as evidence for their alternative explanations for Nicola's disappearance. Well, yes, as I was saying, I've had to remove half my videos about Nicola Bulley, at least half, because a lot of them are based on, or not based, my theories, but involved in those videos were things that Peter Faulding had said that he's now contradicting. Mr. Faulding made several statements to the media that were later found to be at odds with the inquest findings. Well, we know the inquests were not happy with, but anyway. So he said on the 5th of February in GB News, my belief is she's not in the river at all. On the 8th of February, he said, my opinion is had Nicola gone in by that bend, she would have gone to the bottom and drifted a couple of meters. He said in Daily Mirror on the 6th of February, if Nicola is in there, we will find her. If she's there, our Sonar will pick her up straight away. And then later on the 20th of February, he said, sadly, the discovery was not found in the river, but in the reeds at the side of the river, which was not part of our remit, as the side scan sonar does not penetrate reeds above or below the water. Now he's saying that he'd already found her, but anyway, never mind. The inquest findings show that Nicola was found in the river. She was found some distance from where she fell in. She was not found by sonar equipment, and she was not found in reeds. Lancashire Constabulary also shared concerns with the review that Mr. Faulding had behaved insensitively towards the family at an extraordinarily difficult time. It was assessed by Elsie that he used his conversations with the family to provide quotes to the media, and that he influenced the family into believing that Nicola had not entered the river and that a third party was involved. Mr. Faulding provided information to the review. His view was that he had no official information in his possession to disclose to the media. He explained that he provided press statements and interviews because he was hounded by the media. Well, he's supposed to be a professional, so, you are allowed to say no. It was his view that there was no control over the media, I do agree with him there, or official press area, and this differed to other police operations he had previously been involved with. True, they didn't control it. He stated that he was not advised or supported with any media guidance by Lancashire Constabulary. I think that's probably true as well, that he did not receive any instruction not to engage with the media, and that he would have stopped had he been directed to. Possible. During the review, Mr. Faulding disclosed what he considered to be a credible find during a search conducted on the 7th of February. He presented sonar images of this find to the review team. Now, bearing in mind, this is during this review. He went on to explain that he had brought this credible find to the attention of the POISA lead on the 7th of February, and following a dive by the NW whatever, it was found to be nothing. This caused great concern to Mr. Faulding, who strongly asserted that Lancashire Constabulary lacked professional interest in this find. Sorry, I don't believe that. I think they wanted to find her. They wanted to find her because they wanted her to be there. They wanted to be able to say to people, say to everyone, look, we were right. She fell in the river. They wanted to say that. So and he's only, so they're saying that he's presented this, but this is during the review. Why? So anyway, Documentation was recorded daily for the search activities by the POESA. I'm just presenting to you what is said here. You will make your own mind up. I think opinions about either the Lancashire Police or Peter Faulding are so deeply entrenched. I don't think anyone will change their mind one way or another, but you have to take all the information in and make a decision. Documentation was recorded daily for the search activities by the POESA lead and has been reviewed for the 7th of February to identify this find and its outcome. The record documents that on this date the National Search Lead was also in attendance at the scene and briefed by the POESA lead. SGI were tasked to search the hot zone, the area around the bench, for the entire day. It is recorded that during this survey, Mr. Faulding and SGI identified one item on the riverbed which couldn't be ruled out, so police divers dove and cleared the item. On the 8th of February, Mr. Faulding stated that their 3-day involvement ended after a thorough and extensive search of the areas we were tasked with by Lancashire Police and found no sign of Nicola. So then they quote a newspaper article: search experts river hunt ends without solving missing Nicola Bulley mystery. The dive team was later contacted by the review team regarding this find and also confirmed a dive had taken place on the 7th of February following the sonar imagery presented by Mr. Faulding and SGI. The dive team worked from the GPS coordinates provided by them, along with a marker that they had placed on the riverbank. This location was close to the bench where Nicola had left her phone and some distance from where she was found. The diver who undertook this dive was able to confirm the dive took place at 13:21 and the find was found to be tree branches underwater and therefore cleared as a negative. Now, I'm not being funny, but if you think the police are lying about that, why would they? Why would they? It is relevant to also add that this same area had previously been searched by the dive team on the 28th and 31st of February using both sonar equipment and dive methods. These had also proved negative. The diver stated, "I am actually 100% sure that there was no body in that part of the water at that time. It is not very often I dive in such an unobstructed body of water with such a flat bottom and with visibility." Now, we've seen the river. We know, I don't know how far you could dive down. It's so shallow. Even Peter said it was between 1 and 3 foot deep. And meters deep. So it's not really, really deep, and between 1 and 3. And what this diver is saying, that it was clear, it was easy to dive down, it was unobstructed, had a flat bottom, and there was visibility. So the diver, and that'd be interesting. So he'll have his own record of that dive, and he presented that to the review team. The coordinates of the images they record of that dive match exactly those of SGI's images. This diver also provided the primary dive evidence to the coroner at the inquest into Nicola's death. To supplement this and to provide an independent view, the review team contacted a leading government sonar specialist for their opinion of the sonar images taken by SGI on the 7th of February. They provided the expert view that they had low confidence that the images were that of a human casualty. Now, that's not a definite no. I don't like that, really. They had low confidence. But if the diver cleared it, then you either believe that he did or he didn't. I think that's what it's going to come down to in the end, like everything else. in this case is, I'd like to see the evidence from either side. But it's like he said, she said, and, where's the truth? And where is Nicola in all this? Mr. Faulding later contacted the review team on the 26th of October and provided further images of this find. So the 26th of October, again, quite later on, to provide additional expert and independent opinion. These and the earlier sonar images were assessed by a lecturer from Cranfield University. They stated the target, I hate when they call it target. It was supposed to be Nicola, but anyway, I know why they're saying target, because the target cannot be positively identified as a human body based on the data presented. In my opinion, this target would be classed as a low probability of confidence for human remains. I would recommend the target be inspected by divers or a robotic camera system. Yeah, haven't they got a robotic camera system that can just walk along the bed, following high priority targets in the dive area? So this review concludes that this find was sufficiently investigated by the search team at the time and was established to be a negative finding. This was additionally supported by the expert opinion of the images from 2 independent scientists, which were received during this review. Conclusions. The management of Mr. Faulding's activities at the scene and his interactions with the media, while discussed at goal group level and a concern for Lancashire Constabulary, was not incorporated into a media strategy. That was despite the clear challenges around public confidence. While Lancashire Constabulary attempted to implement measures to ensure Mr. Faulding's compliance with operational objectives, further engagement and intervention may have been helpful. Lancashire Constabulary should have considered providing an official force media tent or area, either at or near to the scene. Yeah, resourced by the force's communications team. This would have supported the force's engagement with media and external voices. I mean, they did just cock it all up. They dealt with it all wrong. If a force engages an expert, even if not procured directly, any NDA should clearly set out the parameters within which the expert is expected to work, as well as the likely consequences if these requirements are not met. And a copy should be provided to the expert. I can't believe they didn't provide a copy. Well, let's see their copy then. I'd like to see their copy, the police's copy. So I think basically what we've learnt so far from that is Peter Faulding went on TV and in the press like rubbishing the Lancashire police. So Emma or somebody saw that and got in touch with him. It says the family friend here got in touch with Peter Faulding and asked him. He offered to help. The police didn't want him to come and help, but the family said they would release a negative press release if the police didn't let him help. So the police let him help, but they didn't manage it. Again, they didn't manage it, but I'm not agreeing with his behaviour, because now knowing that, and to be honest, you wouldn't even have to know that Peter's helped on many, many occasions in investigations. So he knows, surely, not to speak to the media, I would think, or not to give theories until, it's enough to just say, yes, we've searched today, but she was not there. But to say she's categorically not in the river, I think may have gone off with someone. Or what was the other thing that he said? That the things were decoys. And he also compared the scene to a murder inquiry he'd worked on, where the perpetrator had left a shoe by the bank of the river to try and make it look as if the girl had gone into the river. He compared that directly. I've got that interview. I've got all his interviews, and There's a lot of them. So Laura Torn, you know, he directly compared Nicola's case to that. So although, you know, I've got sympathy for him, I do think, again, the police did not organise it properly, but I think Peter's experienced enough to know what he should and shouldn't do. I don't think he needed the police to tell him that. Maybe they assumed he wouldn't, but they shouldn't have done anyway. NCA Experts Advisors Database. The NCA Experts Advisors Database is a database that contains details of experts and professionals with a wide range of specialisms or experience that support UK law enforcement. The process for inclusion on this database by a company or individual is conducted through a variety of sources. These sources include recommendation from investigators or other experts, or from proactive research by the NCA. The database currently holds approximately 450 experts across a range of areas of specialism. Following receipt of a signed CV and associated references, no further vetting process is conducted by the NCA. The NCA is clear it does not endorse or accredit any expert held within the database and is not responsible for cost or contractual obligations. When an expert is deployed to an investigation or requested by an investigating officer, the officer receives a guidance document called the Management of Expert Advisors. This includes the need to ensure that the expert has the necessary skills. Security checks are to be undertaken by the force in line with force policy where appropriate, and when involved in sensitive investigations, it is expected that the force undertakes any contractual or legally binding arrangements with the expert advisor. So I think you could cut through all that gumf and just say, basically, they should have managed him better. Conclusions. It is suggested that during a dynamic and developing investigation, it is impractical for a force to undertake vetting and contractual arrangements to the level required. The risks identified by this review with the limited regulation and control of experts on the database and risks to wider law enforcement were shared with the Director General of the NCA on the 20th of June. A comprehensive review of the Expert Advisors database has been implemented with interim measures to resolve the highlighted areas of concern. If they are not already doing so, forces should seek to use legally enforceable NDAs when they are engaging experts, advisors, or other contractors, and confidentiality of information is requested. So it seems like there's no conditions on that database. You know, that again, it has not got the proper parameters, etc. So now this has come up, it's like they've got to look at it all again. So the recommendations are the NCA should consider whether experts and advisors on the NCA Experts Advisors database are vetted, regularly reviewed and monitored. Okay, commercial dive companies. God, it's I want to go to the end of this really. Let me just check. Oh, this is the end of it. The rest of it is the appendix. Oh my God, this is brilliant. Just brilliant. It's near the end because I'm so sick of it. So commercial dive companies. It's appropriate to comment on the use of commercial dive companies by police forces. Consultation has taken place with the NPCC lead for strategic underwater search and the principal dive contractor, as well as the Metropolitan Police Service's underwater search unit. The NPCC Underwater Search Working Group discussed concerns about the use of commercial dive companies by police forces in December 2022. An action was raised for further research to be undertaken with a view to producing guidance to all forces. It was recognised that competence levels, vetting, confidentiality, information sharing and health and safety made the use of commercial dive companies a potential area of vulnerability for forces, with ultimate liability lying with the chief constables. A memorandum of understanding agreement by a commercial company with a force does not negate the chief constable's liability when considering accountability. So who is going to be found accountable for this complete I want to swear, but I'm trying not to. Who is going to be found accountable for this complete balls up? Sorry. So, as a result of the action raised, the subject was placed on the agenda for the NPCC Maritime Policing meeting for wider discussion, set for March 2023. On the 14th of February 2023. Huh? What? 23? Anyway, a communication was sent by the NPCC lead for maritime policing to all chief constables, reminding them of their obligations and liability with the use of commercial dive teams. Strong guidance was provided to use police dive contractors where possible and commercial divers only in exceptional circumstances. So now they're not going to be using commercial divers more or less anymore. It is recognised that there will be occasions where commercial partner assistance for police dive teams will be appropriate. For example, the provision of more advanced technology and equipment, and this is actively encouraged. So the advice from the NPCC lead for maritime policing is that any urgent request for dive or search capability must, in the first instance, be conducted as an NPOCC mutual aid request. Where the request is of a less urgent nature, for example, for training or equipment assistance, contact should be made with the NPCC Maritime Policing Portfolio for guidance. Further communication advising this guidance was sent again to all chief constables on the 19th of September 2023, advising of the pathway for NPOCC mutual aid requests and the use of the NCA's Experts Advisors database. While it is recognised, conclusions, thank God, while it is recognised that Lancashire Constabulary did not request the services of SGI and Mr. Faulding, and he was not deployed by the NCA, a decision was made to use the services of a commercial dive company and to manage the risk. I bet they wish they hadn't bothered now. Lancashire Constabulary felt it was placed in an unenviable situation which would lead to a widespread negative perception that the force were not using every opportunity to locate Nicola. So that was the threat by Emma or by the family or by whoever, that if they didn't use Peter, they would give a negative press conference. So that's why they allowed him to even be brought in the first place. Goodness me. And it's led to an even more negative view of them. So I bet they really regret that now. They were between a rock and a hard place. However, the use of a commercial dive company or external organisation places responsibilities on the force for health and safety, vetting, forensic and information management, which requires careful consideration, and that's what they didn't do, did they? NPOCC resourcing requests should be the preferred option for urgent capability requests unless there are exceptional reasons. Consultation with the NPCC Maritime Policing Portfolio is advised to support and guide where appropriate. So then it's appendixes, and I will go through them, not on, I'll go through them and I'll see if there's anything that I think will be interesting for you to hear, because you can look at them. I know a lot of you don't like, some people are saying they found this really useful because their eyesight's not too good, or some people just, like, whereas me with words, I'm better with words. Like if this was a load of numbers put in front of me, you've seen what I'm like with graphs and things. It'd be just like, I just won't be able to make any sense of it. But I can make sense of words. And I know some people are the opposite, they're better with numbers and things. And when it comes to words, they might be slightly dyslexic or whatever. So there's probably lots of people who haven't even read this report. And I think, the fact that not many people are, there's not much discussion of it on social media, to be honest. I haven't seen much discussion of the policing report at all. Interpretation of it, or considering it, or pulling it apart, or everybody's just too concerned about the other bombshell. Well, I'm concerned about the police report as well, and I'm mainly concerned as that it was a cock-up. I'd quite like to see another investigation. And as you know, to me, Nicola's the one who's been lost in all this. It's not about anything but Nicola. And I just don't understand anybody thinking it any other way. But there you go. So I'll put the thing back on now. So this is one of my subscribers who made this request. I was so happy when I worked out how to do that, because I thought, well, it meant I don't have to sort of, I can just get on with the video and say it at the bottom there. But anyway, I understand it's probably quite distracting, but I do want to thank you. I want to thank you all so much. Now that's the last in the, that's the last of the report, unless I find anything in the appendices. Any of you out there who've read the report and you feel that there's some particular thing that I've missed that should be highlighted, please let me know. Send me an email to VickyMarieChats@gmail.com with Vicky with an I. And please, a lot of you have done that already. So, and it has helped me with my interpretation of the report. So thank God for that, because this whole toxic, horrible situation that always surrounds anything, for some unknown reason, anything around the Nicola Bulley case is always surrounded by toxicity. People don't seem to think they can just say, they can give their opinions without being nasty. Just beyond me, to be honest. Supposed to be adults, aren't we? We're all adults. I don't think I've got any children out there watching. So yeah, whenever you make a comment to somebody else or to me, just think about it and have the way you're phrasing it. Phrase it in a a respectful way. Accept people have different opinions. That's everybody has their own opinion and they're entitled to it. Now, the thing is, where's the evidence as well? So this is what comes. I want the evidence, not only from Peter, I want the evidence from the police. They're saying that he signed this report, this NDA. Well, let's see it, provide it. I mean, I don't know where, if Peter decides, I hope Peter does decide to take it further. If he doesn't, I just wonder where he's going to go. Where's he going to go with it, taking it further? He said he was going to James Cleverly. Hope he does. I hope he does. But the Suella Braverman really was the only person who ever made any comment, I think, about, and maybe Rishi Sunak, maybe. But the actual MP for the area, Ben Wallace, he didn't get involved in the slightest. And he's still the MP. He's still the MP until the next election, when he's going to step down, or I think there's going to be a change of boundaries anyway. So I would say to anyone who lives in that area, while you can, write to Big Ben, write to him, tell him you're not happy, you want this, or you want especially if you're on Peter's side, so I personally am not on Peter's side or the police's side. I'm on Nicola's side, nobody else's. Okay, so thank you so much, as always. Remember always to live and love very carefully, very wisely. Thank you so much for all your lovely emails and messages of support. I'm glad I carried on with that because this is the last one. Yay! You know, it's like you asked for this policing report and it's caused so much sort of division and so much nastiness and spite. You know, I almost wish it hadn't ever come out now. But anyway, it's come out. I've been through it. We can move on. And I don't mean move on and not want to find out about Nicola. I mean move on from the spite and the division, hopefully. And we'll see if Peter takes it any further. What's the next step? What's going to happen now? Is anything going to happen now? Or is that it? You know, so of course, Paul's got his house up for sale. Remember in the members live last Thursday, I broke that somebody had sent me that details, and then since then it's been all over social media, which I don't really like, because you know at the end of the day I presented it in the members, but I never made it public because those girls still live in that house, so it just seemed a bit sort of not very nice. But I've got mixed feelings about that. You know, part of me thinks I don't blame him for moving. You know, whatever I do or don't think of Paul, part of me thinks I don't blame him for moving. And then there's another part of me thinks, like some people have said in comments, you know, it's sad because that's the memories that those girls have of their mum living with her in that house. But maybe it's good to make a new start. Who knows where he's going or what's, you know, we'll see. We'll see. But I found it very sad looking at that house, looking at it on the right move. You know, all the different rooms, and just knowing that Nicola had circulated around there, and that's where she'd, you know, come down that morning and taken the girls off to school. And who knows after that, really. We still, you know, I don't think we really know the exact thing that happened. So it was very sad, very eerie. You know, I found it very sad. Another thing I sort of noticed, but anyway, maybe I'll look at that in the members again, because there was a few things that I did notice about the house. But I'm not going to look at the house publicly here. I'll look at it in the members again on Thursday. And thank you to all my members. I've just released this morning the latest instalment in my developing crime novel. Please subscribe to Murder. So I think I'm up to chapter, well, not chapter really, number 8. I'm introducing characters at the moment. Got another couple of characters to introduce, and then the story starts properly, if you like. But you know, there's quite a bit, and there's a playlist, of course. If you remember, and maybe you've missed from the beginning, I should put the playlist actually on there every time I release a new one. Okay, I'm waffling on. I'll be back later with Serial Killer Sunday. I'm almost looking forward to doing a serial killer after doing that, doing this for so long. So take care. Have a brilliant day. I'll see you soon. Remember to live and love wisely. And until I see you again, may your God go with you. Bye.